Have you ever laid flat on your back, no pillow under your head, arms neatly by your side, and thought, this feels so natural, just like when I was young? I used to think that too, and so did many of my patients. But the truth surprises a lot of people. When we sleep completely flat with the head at the same level as the heart, the blood in the brain doesn't drain as smoothly as it once did. At 20, your blood vessels are flexible and flow is effortless. But after 60, those vessels stiffen. They lose their bounce, and letting blood sit still for hours at night is like leaving a river to stagnate. Sooner or later, clots can form. I remember Leonard, a 77-year-old retired mechanic, strong and independent. From his Navy days, he had the habit of sleeping flat, no pillow, believing it kept his back straight and gave him deep rest. One morning, his wife found him unable to speak clearly, one side of his face drooping. He'd had a stroke right there in his sleep. I want you to picture this just by raising your head about 30 degrees or using a supportive pillow that follows the natural curve of your neck. You allow blood to flow more freely, like a stream given a clear path. Sometimes protecting your brain doesn't require a big operation or a fancy drug. It begins with something as simple as the pillow beneath your head. Imagine this. You're sleeping face down, your cheek pressed into the pillow. For many people, it feels cozy, safe, even the fastest way to drift off. But after 60, what seems harmless can quietly become a hidden trap for your brain. Here's why. When you sleep on your stomach, your neck has to twist to the side just so you can breathe. That twist compresses the vertebral arteries, the main highways carrying oxygen-rich blood up to your brain. You don't feel it right away, but hour after hour, night after night, the blood flow slows and the risk of clots quietly rises. I'll never forget one of my patients, Ethel, 82. She had slept on her stomach since she was a teenager. One morning, her daughter found her struggling to speak, her left side weak and heavy. The doctors confirmed it was a stroke, not from bad food, not from smoking, but from something as ordinary as the way she slept. She was shocked. All her life, she thought eating healthy was enough. She never imagined her sleep position could betray her. So let me ask you, do you ever wake up with a stiff neck or a dizzy spell when you sit up? That might be your body whispering, I'm not getting enough blood to the brain at night. The fix is simple: sleep on your back with a supportive pillow or on your left side where circulation is better. Because sometimes it's the smallest adjustment that protects your memory, your clarity, and your independence for years to come. Have you ever slept with the blanket pulled all the way over your head? Many people tell me it feels warm, safe, like going back to childhood. I remember one of my patients, Richard, 81 years old. Every night of his life, he tucked the blanket over his head. He said it was the only way he could fall into deep, peaceful sleep. But one morning, his wife tried to wake him and he barely responded. At the hospital, we discovered he'd had a silent stroke during the night. Why is it so dangerous? When you cover your head like that, most of the air you breathe in is the air you just exhaled. Oxygen drops, carbon dioxide builds up, and your brain, just like a lamp that needs fuel, slowly runs out of what it needs most. As we age, our blood vessels weaken and circulation slows, so the brain is even more vulnerable. Have you ever woken up with a heavy head, dizziness, or a sense that your memory isn't quite as sharp? That may not just be old age. It could be your brain telling you it spent the night starving for oxygen. The fix is simple. Keep your head uncovered. If you're worried about light or cold, use a sleep mask or a light blanket, but don't trap your face under the covers. Sleep isn't only about rest, it's about nourishing your brain, protecting your memory, and caring for the very core of who you are. Did you know there's a habit many seniors think is harmless, even comforting, but it can quietly threaten the brain? I'm talking about sleeping in a recliner night after night. I remember Barbara, 79 years old. After hip surgery, she found it hard to lie flat in bed, so she switched to her recliner. At first, it was just temporary, but 5 years later, it had become her normal routine. One morning, her daughter found her struggling to speak, her left hand weak. The doctors confirmed a small stroke. Why is a recliner risky? When you sleep half sitting, half lying, blood doesn't circulate as evenly as it does on a flat bed. Gravity pulls it down into the legs. And after 60, when blood vessels stiffen, that pooling blood can thicken and form clots. Night after night, those clots can travel upward to the heart or the brain, and it only takes one. I want you to picture this. Your body is like an old bridge standing strong through storms. But if every night you keep loading one end of the bridge, eventually it sags. Sleep should restore you, not silently burden you. So if you're used to sleeping in a chair, try moving back to your bed. Add pillows to support your hips, or find a mattress that eases your pain. Keeping blood flowing smoothly is how you protect your brain, your memory, and your independence. Do you sleep on your side with your arm tucked under the pillow? It sounds familiar, even cozy, doesn't it? But after 60, this can quietly become one of the most dangerous positions for your brain. I think of Ellis, a 75-year-old veteran. For decades, he slept on his right side, his arm always wedged beneath his pillow. It's the way I learned in the service, he told me. One morning, his wife found him dizzy, his left leg weak. At the hospital, the scan showed a stroke, the main culprit, that so-called harmless habit. Here's why: when you press your arm under your pillow, your body weight squeezes the carotid artery and the nerves running through the neck and shoulder. Blood can't flow freely to the brain. Night after night, hour after hour, it's like slowly pinching a garden hose. Eventually a clot forms and one day it travels straight to the brain. I want you to imagine your brain as a garden that depends on fresh water every night. If that stream is blocked even a little, the garden withers. So if this is your habit, change it. When you sleep on your side, let your arm rest in front of you or hug a body pillow. One small adjustment can protect your memory, your clarity, and your independence in the years ahead. Have you ever had a night like this? You lie down, close your eyes, and yet your body keeps tossing and turning left, right, back again. Many people think it's just age, poor sleep, or the need to get up and use the bathroom. But in my experience, after 60, that restlessness is more than just bad sleep. It's often a quiet warning sign from your brain. Here's why: every time you turn, your blood pressure shifts, your brain gets a surge of blood, then a dip. For a young body, that's not such a big deal. But for us, when the blood vessels are less flexible and the walls more fragile, those ups and downs are like waves hitting an old seawall. Over time, the wall weakens and clots can silently form. I think of Nancy, a 76-year-old patient. She told me she slept 7 hours straight, yet woke up exhausted. Her husband added, "Doctor, she turned every 15 minutes all night long." A few months later, Nancy suffered a small stroke. The cause wasn't cholesterol or smoking, it was unstable blood flow during her restless nights. I want you to imagine this: sleep isn't just rest, it's when the body restores balance. If that balance keeps breaking, the brain pays the price. Sometimes restlessness is the brain's gentle whisper: pay attention before I make you stop. Have you ever thought that forgetting just one tiny pill at night could change your whole life? I had a patient, Harold, 72 years old. A careful man, he walked every day, ate sensibly, never smoked. But one evening, caught up in a football game, he skipped his usual blood pressure pill. He thought, "It's fine, I'll just take it tomorrow." But the next morning, he woke up with a drooping face, slurred speech, and was rushed to the hospital with a stroke. The frightening truth is this: after 60, our bodies can't handle those little gaps in protection the way they used to. Blood pressure often surges in the early morning hours. Without that nightly shield from medication, fragile vessels can tear, blood thickens, and a clot forms. And sometimes just one tiny clot is enough to tip the balance in the brain. I want you to picture it this way: your evening pill is like a night watchman quietly guarding your blood vessels while you sleep. Skip it, and the gate is left wide open. Anything can slip through. That's why survival, after all, often rests in the simplest habits: taking your medicine every night on time. Have you ever woken up on a cold winter morning with your neck stiff, your head heavy, and thought to yourself, well, that's just old age? One of my patients, Eleanor, 73, once told me, "Doctor, I love sleeping in a cold room. It feels refreshing. But every morning I wake up dizzy." When we checked, her neck arteries were already narrowed with age, and that nightly habit of sleeping cold only made things worse. Here's what happens when the room is too cold: the blood vessels in your neck tighten. Add a pillow that's too flat, forcing your chin down toward your chest, and you've just narrowed the very arteries that carry blood to your brain. The result: less oxygen, less nourishment, like a river trapped under ice with branches blocking the flow. Tonight you may still sleep fine, but over years, that simple habit quietly builds the risk of a stroke. I want you to picture your brain as a garden. It needs a steady flow of water every night. If the flow is choked off, the soil dries and the flowers fade. That's why keeping your room cool but not icy and using a pillow that supports your neck is more than comfort. It's a nightly gift you give your brain a way to keep that garden alive and thriving for years to come. Have you ever gone to bed right after a big dinner? Maybe with a glass of wine, thinking, "I've earned this," after a long day? For many over 60, that simple routine can quietly open the door to a stroke. I remember Gerald, 74, a retired farmer from Nebraska. Every night he had a full meal: meat, potatoes, dessert, and finished with a glass of bourbon. He told me, "Doctor, it helps me relax and sleep better." But one morning, Gerald woke up with a crooked smile and slurred speech. He'd suffered a stroke in his sleep. Here's why: when you eat too much before bed, Blood rushes to your stomach to digest, leaving your brain with less of the steady flow it needs to rest and repair. Add alcohol, and things get worse. At first, alcohol makes your vessels relax, you feel warm, even drowsy. But a few hours later, they tighten sharply, sending your blood pressure and circulation on a roller coaster ride. That swing is a silent storm inside your sleep. Think of it like driving an old car uphill, with the gas tank overflowing and the engine overheated. It might run for a while, but sooner or later it breaks down. Give your body time to digest and swap that nightcap for a warm cup of tea. It's a gentler gift for both your heart and your brain. My friend, let me paint you a picture. Imagine lying on your right side, resting your head directly on your arm. At first, it feels so familiar, so comforting. Many of us have slept this way for decades. But after 60, that simple habit can become a silent trap for the blood vessels feeding your brain. When you press the weight of your head and neck down on your arm, the major vessels, your carotid artery and the veins in your neck, get squeezed for hours. Blood flow slows, it begins to pool, and in the stillness of sleep, even one small clot can form. By morning, the result could be drooping lips, weakness in the arms or legs, or even a stroke. I once treated Mr. Randall, 74, a proud veteran. He told me, "Doctor, I've slept this way since my service days. I thought it helped me rest deeper." But one morning, he woke unable to move the left side of his body. Tests showed his carotid artery had narrowed, and his sleeping habit was quietly fueling the clot that nearly stole his independence. Think of your arm like a dam across a river. At first, it only makes small ripples, but as the hours pass, the pressure builds until the dam can't hold anymore. The fix is simple yet powerful. Use a pillow that keeps your head and neck aligned, not pressing down on your arm. Try sleeping on your left side with your arm free and relaxed in front of you. Sleep isn't just about rest, it's the time your brain needs steady, gentle blood flow to heal and renew. Have you ever woken up with a numb arm or a stiff neck? Those are your body's little warning signals. Don't ignore them. They're whispers of protection from within. There's a habit I see in so many of my older patients: pulling a heavy blanket right up over the chest and neck at night. It sounds cozy, even safe, but in truth, it can quietly create risks you'd never expect. I want you to imagine this: when something heavy presses down on your chest and neck, your lungs can't fully expand. Your breathing becomes shallow and less oxygen makes its way into your blood. During the day, your body can make up for it, but at night, especially in deep sleep, when your body is relaxed, that low oxygen lingers, and your brain and heart end up paying the price. Some people wake up feeling heavy-headed, their vision blurred, their heartbeat racing, and they just shrug, thinking, "That's old age." One of my patients, Elaine, 74, loved to curl up under a thick quilt pulled right up to her chin. She told me, "Doctor, I sleep so well it feels like being hugged." But after a few months, she started waking up gasping in the middle of the night. Her oxygen levels dropped alarmingly low during sleep. We switched her heavy blanket for something lighter and breathable, and she later said, "I can't believe it, I'm sleeping deeper, and I wake up refreshed." Have you ever woken up in the morning feeling foggy? Even though you thought you got enough sleep, the cause might not be your age. It might be the blanket you use every night. Remember, sleep is when your body recharges. If your breath is blocked, your brain and heart carry the burden. Sometimes the smallest change, choosing a lighter blanket, can be enough to protect your health and bring peace back to your sleep. Friends, as I look back over the years, one thing I've learned is this: our nights matter just as much as our days. The way we sleep can either give our brain the healing it needs or quietly set the stage for danger. I've seen too many patients who thought their sleeping habits were harmless, lying flat without a pillow, curling up face down, or tucking under a heavy blanket. They never realized that night after night, their blood flow was being slowed, their oxygen levels dipping, until one morning their life changed forever. But here's the good news: small adjustments can protect us. A gentle incline of the head, choosing a lighter blanket, supporting the neck properly. These aren't just about comfort, they're about survival. One patient once told me, "Doctor, I wish someone had told me sooner. I would have changed years ago. That's why I'm telling you now." I want you to imagine your sleep as a bridge you cross every night. If the bridge is strong and clear, you wake up steady, ready for the day. But if cracks form, bad habits, poor positions, that bridge can collapse when you least expect it. So tonight, give your body the gift of safe sleep. Protect your brain, your heart, your independence. Because life after 60 can still be strong, joyful, and full of clarity if we listen to what our nights are quietly telling us. There's one little habit most people overlook: going to bed when the body is already thirsty. After 60, That small choice can quietly turn into a dangerous piece of your health puzzle. I want you to picture this. Your blood is like a flowing river. When it's well hydrated, it moves smoothly, carrying oxygen and nutrients to every corner of your brain. But if you fall asleep dehydrated, that river thickens, slows down, and little whirlpools can form. Those whirlpools are blood clots. The danger is highest in the early morning hours, right when blood pressure naturally rises. I remember Robert, 69, who avoided drinking water at night because he didn't want to wake up to use the bathroom. He told me, "Doctor, I thought it would help me sleep better." But instead, he often woke up with a heavy head and once even nearly collapsed getting out of bed. Tests later showed his blood was much thicker at night just because he skipped that glass of water. Once he started sipping a small cup of warm water before bed, those symptoms almost disappeared. Have you ever woken up with a dry mouth, a racing heart, or a foggy mind? That might be your body's quiet warning. Remember, you don't need to drink too much. Just a small glass is enough to keep your blood flowing through the night. It's one of the simplest ways to protect both your brain and your heart while you sleep. Sometimes the most dangerous habits are the ones that feel the most comforting. Take sleeping flat on your back with no pillow. Many seniors tell me, "Doctor, I've done this for years, it feels natural." But after 60, the body plays by different rules. When your head is level with your heart all night, the blood draining from your brain slows down. Instead of flowing smoothly, it pools. And pooled blood has a higher chance of thickening, turning into a clot. That's why strokes so often happen in the early morning hours right after sleep. I think of Leonard, a 77-year-old Navy veteran. For decades, he slept flat, hands folded on his chest. One morning, his wife found him awake but unable to speak, his face drooping, his arm limp. The doctors discovered a clot in his brain made worse by years of that sleeping position. Today, he sleeps propped up on a wedge pillow and often says, "Doctor, I wish I had known sooner." I want you to imagine your brain like a house with delicate plumbing. If the pipes don't drain properly, pressure builds and one day the system bursts. That's what lying flat can do over time. The fix is simple. Elevate your head just a little, about 30 degrees, with a supportive pillow. It's not just about comfort. It's about protecting your independence, your speech, your very ability to be yourself each morning you wake.